Delighted to be joined by Ginetta Junior driver Fergus Chalmers. Fergus, thanks very much for joining me this evening.
Thank you, Richard.
Firstly, how are you, mate? How was Christmas and New Year?
I'm good. It was quite a nice time to just relax and take some time off from everything.
What we want to do on these interviews, it's been ages since I've done one of these for various reasons, but it's a nice opportunity to introduce our drivers to viewers. ITV, we don't always get the chance to interview everybody, as you know, because the weekends go very, very quickly. So a nice chance to just delve a little bit deeper and find out more about yourself. Obviously, you were a first-year driver with Ginetta last year, but to start with, let's have a look back at what you've done before. And I think it's fair to say that you haven't actually got any racing experience. Tell us what you did before jumping in the juniors.
So I bought a junior rally car. It was a Volkswagen Up, 1000cc one. So just a little car, just something that we can learn and see what we could do in that championship. But then COVID hit and we could never go rallying, so we just did some test days.
Wow, so very little. And a big power difference between the rally car and the Ginetta. And we'll talk about the difference between rallying and circuits. But going onto circuits, obviously you can go and test on a track. They have organised track days and test days for you. But how do you go about testing in a rally car? What sort of venues can you go and do that at?
So up here in Scotland, we've got places like Crail, which is an abandoned airfield, which is quite different to the likes of tracks where we've gone to Knockhill with the car, and the difference between the two of them is just incredible. But in the season of the rally, and we would do the rally at both tracks.
Yeah.
So the Crail is more like open, fast, bumpy, and it's got potholes and things, whereas Knockhill is obviously quite smooth because it's a racetrack. And then you've got the hillside, the gravel bits, and things like that.
It's interesting that you can get the experience of the different surfaces and the space around you, but it's quite a big leap going from rallying into Ginetta's. About this time last year, I had a chat with Maurice Henry, who won the scholarship for last year, and he made that sort of jump, did a little bit of rallying, I think, in the Citroen, and then went to Ginetta Juniors. But how did the jump come about for you?
So one day I was scrolling through my phone and I saw the advert for the scholarship come up, and I said it to my dad, just as like another option, just to see, because we were currently looking at things that we could do. And then he ended up entering it as a birthday present for me, and then that's where we ended up.
That's an absolutely brilliant story. And you know, we get the Ginetta Championship has a lot of people who come up through karts, maybe up to international karting level. I mean, going back, obviously, you had Lando Norris coming into it years ago, and he's up there in Formula One doing the business now. And then we get drivers like yourself who haven't done any competitive competition at all. And I think that's the key thing about Ginetta. They welcome everyone and they cater for everybody. So it's an inclusive championship, which is great. But that must have been so daunting for you, going from having no wheel-to-wheel racing experience in anything, you know, certainly not cars and not even karts. What did it feel like to go onto the grid for the first time at Thruxton last year and be in that huge pack of cars?
It was terrifying for the first race, I would say. The difference between the rally car, having someone sitting next to the co-driver next to me, and just being kind of by yourself when you're out there, compared to just being in the car by yourself with other teenagers of the same age. About like 30 of us going around wheel to wheel. It was a different experience.
So you must we've certainly come to trust the other drivers that are on the grid, and as you get to know and race against them. But you've got to put that faith in them, haven't you, for the first races?
Yeah, it was the same as myself, though. I just had to trust myself that I would be fine if I just did what I knew I had to do.
And that preparation, obviously, we have driver coaches that help you out, and I think James Gornall, who's a very well respected driver, multiple champion, has been involved in your coaching. And did anyone else help you along the way?
I had one day in the car with Max Coates, and then I joined the Prep Tech team where I had Jiggy from there onwards, and we did, I think, 4 days of pre-season testing, 3 of them at Thruxton, so we had a bit of experience at that track.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, a bit of focus on that first round was pretty good. And good that the crowd wasn't there. I know it could be nerve-wracking going to BTCC generally the crowds there, when we've got a full crowd, it's around about the average size of the crowd you get at a Premiership football match, so I understand. So it can be a bit nerve-wracking. So was the pressure off of you, really?
Yeah, it was off a bit, but I just knew that when it came to that Sunday race, I'd still be on TV, and there'd be the cameras on me, so I was always watching for them.
Fergus, going back to the preparation, you come from Alford, which is a fair way up there. Is it near Aberdeen?
Yeah.
Does that, obviously, that extra travelling? It's a huge amount of travelling, and it's a little bit cliched, but us Southerners are a bit lightweight, and we sort of moan and groan every time we have to get in the car and go anywhere further north than Birmingham. But you guys have that all the time. Is that a consideration, the amount of travelling you have to do when you're joining a championship?
It was a little bit, but it wasn't really the top of the things to think about when joining the championship. But as we did the pre-season testing, and me and my mum would jump in the car and go down to the tracks for a day, and we kind of enjoyed the travelling because it was quite nice. The sun was out, and it was quite nice roads going down there, so it wasn't too bad. And then it just became part of the championship throughout the year, and it was just something that we always had to do.
It's great time, isn't it? And I know from going to work on events, my son sometimes comes with me, and it's really good quality time for for me and him, dad and son, and for you and your mum and your dad when he comes along. Talking of dad, what's the racing history in the family? Is there any racing connection or motorsport connection in the family before you?
My dad used to do some rallying, gravel rallying a few years ago.
Yeah.
And then he stopped when my brother started doing the Junior Championship, which I was joining. So we've just done a bit of rallying.
And what's your brother up to now? Is he sort of packed up racing? Does he come and watch you, or is he doing his own thing?
Yeah, he's kind of stopped the rallying to kind of hand it over to me and have it something that I can do for a few years and see where it goes. But he's got his own Land Rover Discovery where he goes to off-road events, and I go with him sometimes and do that at weekends.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I used to watch some of the off-road championships on Motors TV back in the day, and it's a very special skill set needed for that. In terms of the start of the season, I think the Ginetta blurb that came through said that your aim for the year was to improve over the season, and it's fair to say you did that, because at the last event of the year, you grabbed a very well-earned podium, second position in the rookies at Brands Hatch. So how did that feel?
It was definitely obviously the highlight of the year, and it just felt so good to finally get what we thought that we deserved, because throughout the year we had the pace in the races. We just struggled in qualifying because I never had the experience, and then when we got to Donington, I broke that curse. I ended up in the top 10 for qualifying, and then we came to Brands, and then it was 5th for the second race, and then we just managed to hold off the fast cars behind and get that podium.
At Brands Hatch GP, I'm guessing that a lot of drivers will know of Brands, might have done a little bit of testing. I think testing could be a bit of a premium there, to be honest. But a lot of people will sort of know the track and probably have more experience than you. Was it just the one test day you had? Yeah,
it was just the one test day we did.
But you've got the advantage next year, obviously, of having learned the circuits this year. Again, I think the information that came from Ginetta said your favourite circuit was Knock Hill. Did that stay the case throughout the course of the year, or have you got another favourite now?
Knock Hill is definitely in the top two. When we went to Oulton Park, I really enjoyed that circuit. It was definitely the best one I drove up in the year up to that point.
Yeah.
It just had all the fast bits, and it had it was narrow and it was tight, and there was a few bumps and that. So it was kind of like, it reminded me of Knock Hill in a way, but just not as small and as tight.
I don't think we're at Oulton this year, are we? Because it's normally around the GCSE sort of week. So I think they've knocked that out of the schedule. So you're probably disappointed with that. Have you been to? It's Croft, isn't it, that you missed last year? So we're going to Croft this year. How do you feel about
that? I'm not too sure. I've not been yet, so I don't really know what to say about the circuit. But I mean, it looks like a good circuit. There's been some good racing, so we'll just hope that it's as fun to drive as the rest of them.
I think that was the first place where we just repeated it on ITV4, actually, where Lando Norris had his first Ginetta Junior win. So it can be the place of dreams for some people. So looking forward to the new season. Obviously, we've got 100 days to go, Ginetta told us on social media, I think, yesterday. So it's creeping up. What sort of preparation do you do for the new season in terms of testing or otherwise?
I've got my fitness going constantly, trying to stay as fit as I can and be fitter than I was last year to try and get a big advantage. Obviously, the other guys are working just as hard with that, so there's no room for error. And we've got some test days booked, but we're not starting them until February, so for just now, it's just main focus on fitness.
Okay, and which tracks you booked in for testing?
I think we've got Donington, Snetterton, and Croft so far. We just go back to circuits where we feel like we can learn more than a place like Silverstone or Thruxton.
Yeah.
We've been there a few times, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, it's understandable. It was really good to see you going sort of full circle about how you got involved and went to the Ginetta Scholarship. It's great to see you at the scholarship. Was it November last year? I think they ran it. It was, wasn't it? Because it was firework night. So it's good to see you there. And obviously you made the effort to travel down from Scotland to be there with the team. And how important is it for you to do that and to work with the team?
I think it's a really important part of the year. We finished the championship. We finished all the rounds of the championship, but that's not all we're in the team for. The team, they're a really nice bunch of guys, and it's good to spend some time with them and make sure that we keep the relationship good and strong.
And you're passing on some knowledge to some of the other youngsters coming through the scholarship as well, I guess.
Yeah, I was there to mostly speak to the kids and just give them a bit of encouragement and speak to the parents about how my experience was in the championship as a rookie in my first year and talk about my experience when I did the scholarship the year before.
It's great that you passed that knowledge on. The final question before we go, expectations for this year?
Really just same as last year, see how much we can improve and see how far up the top we can get. We're not really putting a number on championship or how many wins to go for, things like that. Just kind of see how hard we can work and do the best that we can.
Well, that's really good. I'm looking forward to this season as much as ever, Fergus. Thanks for chatting to us today. Good luck with the prep, and we'll see you on the grid for round one. Thanks again for joining us.